Welcome to our Mobilizing Leadership production of Living Leadership. This series works from the premise that leadership is not a title, but a mindset. Filmed in one take, it explores how people navigate beyond the status quo and captures their insights on what leadership looks like across their work, life, and community. The Discovery Whiteboard session is facilitated by Stuart Morse, and we welcome our guest. Well, welcome to another session of Living Leadership. I'm here with Joe here today. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Joe Schlagheck. I've worked for Security Equipment Supply for over 11 years. I started part-time in the warehouse and moved my way up to just recently becoming the branch manager. So touched every aspect of working in a branch.
That's great. So Joe, as a part of this, we do these interviews around living leadership, and so what are your thoughts around leadership, and and how it shows up in your life and work?
I'd say leadership is empowering the people around you.
Okay.
So making sure that people have the freedom to try things, the freedom to learn things, but being there to protect them.
So this freedom to try and learn. Okay.
Absolutely.
And then now you said, and then you're there to protect them, or a leader is there to protect them?
That's how I see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure everything runs smoothly, but first of all, you got to take care of your people. I think is the main.
So what are attributes about that how you actually do that? I mean, okay, so you say, well, the role or the context that are to protect, but giving them this freedom at the same time. I mean, it sounds like there's a little bit of two pieces of the puzzle going on there. And how do those get, tell me a little more about freedom. Well, how does that start to show up?
I think the freedom, it can't be a full freedom, obviously. You have to be working within a framework. You have to have objectives, goals, what you're trying to accomplish on a day-to-day basis, what you're trying to accomplish weekly, quarterly, yearly. So making sure that the people understand the organizational goals, whether it's that day
so there's
or
this
that
framework that has
long-term
goals. Okay.
So once everyone is aware of that existing framework, then there's the freedom to act within it.
Okay.
So not to be micromanaged.
Right. So this thing is within this one.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about this protect piece. What does that start looking like?
I think it starts to look like once people are given the freedom to try, we're in an industry of sales, so there's lots of different ways that people approach sales calls, how to get new prospects, how to get more business out of existing prospects.
Right.
So it's letting people try different approaches. Some people like email conversations, some people like phone, some people like handwritten notes. And so it's given an opportunity to try different approaches, but making sure that it's not going to catastrophically damage any relationships or anything along those lines.
So is that what it sounds? And do you what's the element around how do you control that, like damaging relationships, or what I'm hearing is that risk building up around something? Is there some form of like a cadence or speed that you put to it, or is it that is there a sense of like we might say, like this term fail fast or something like that how do you put kind of controls around that ability to keep those catastrophic things from happening?
I think it's just all about steady communication.
Okay.
So I don't know that you can put hard controls over those things because there's just so much happening all at once. But I think as a leader, one of the easiest ways is just to be attentive, to manage by wandering around, to make sure you're overhearing conversations, you're trying to pick up on cues that your people may not catch, whether it's somebody at the counter talking about something, a prospect, a vendor, just say, hey, did you catch how this person said that?
I think someone should come up with research around that term you just said. What does it mean to wander around?
Yeah.
So when you do say that, what is you wander around is that? Tell me more about that.
Well, honestly, it's just being present with what's going on in the day-to-day, not locking yourself in your office as much as can be avoided. So even if you're at the periphery, overhearing conversations without getting in the way of their freedom, your people's freedom to try things, but just saying, hey, what are you trying here?
Right.
You see somebody, even back in the warehouse logistics standpoint, you go back there and you see them struggling with something, and you can just say, hey, what is going on here, and what are you trying to do to fix it? And there might be controls in place where they can't fix it themselves, so you can see an issue they're having and bring it
So
up
what
the
about
chain.
this learn piece? So you've told me, you've told us about the try. What about the learn component of that? Tell me more about that.
I think that is just empowering everybody to go beyond their existing role.
Okay.
So we have...
now the drawing gets messy, right? And so empower beyond the existing role.
Yeah, when I started here, it was a small branch of only 4 people. So there was a certain element of, hey, even though you're in the warehouse, your main job is packing, shipping, receiving, sometimes you're going to have to answer the phone, sometimes you're going to have to come pull an order for someone. It's a lot of... And the other way around. Sometimes if you're busy in the back, a salesperson or the branch manager will come and help you. So
always keep people moving in and touching different parts of... And that leads me to the next thing you kind of triggered in my mind. It's almost like the idea of a system. So that's... in this people connecting or touching the system in different ways. Would that be fair in kind of capturing it that way? So I assume, is this, if I were to say, so the systems piece, and this balance between systems and people, is that part of this framework, or how would you see that
I believe, the systems, I believe, are the framework.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that you are beholden to them. So you can't just accept them as unchanging. So the systems need to exist for things to get done.
Right.
There has to be a framework, but if people think that the framework is unchangeable, then they fall into bad patterns.
So this thing needs to be able to evolve and change.
So I think it's a push and a pull between the people and the framework, and everyone has to have flexibility.
Okay.
With knowing what end goals are.
Right. So it's this push and pull, but okay. And then that this is changing. Okay.
Or I think it has to at least have the ability to change.
Ability to change.
Yes.
Well, maybe I should say that it has the ability to
Hopefully
change.
it's changing.
That's right. So when you think about what is it, what's the essence of, and maybe this carries over into just what you see in life and work, and what kind of values do you think are, maybe you can give me a list of just a few things that you say, when I think about leadership and being able to do this, and almost the mindset or that foundational thing that a leader needs to kind of have within themselves.
Yeah.
To say, for them to be able to show up and do this, what's that look like?
I would say integrity. I would say honesty.
Okay.
I would say attentiveness. And there's probably a lot more that aren't coming top of mind.
Okay,
but
that's great.
I think
you have to be
attentive to the people. You have to be honest with your people, and then integrity. They have to be able to trust you.
Right. And so how does this both interface with it? I can see how these interface with the people. How does this interface with like the systems?
Yeah, that side of it I'd say is more leading of the people.
Right.
The leading of honesty and integrity in the systems. If you're trying to cheat the systems and your people see you doing that, that could also lead to them not trusting you and then the systems failing. So I think they can also interact.
So I think that's interesting that that the way you've kind of connected this to also the system. If the system doesn't have, would it be fair to say that the systems almost need to have some of those values too? So the leader has to lead with a system that also has these elements, so it feels conducive to the people who are touching this?
I think the people may realize even if a leader has these qualities that the systems, if they don't, they would start to lose faith in the whole system.
And how do you feel so if people are given this access and able to try and learn and have this understanding of systems, what does it start to create within those people? I mean, within people who are part of this?
I think it starts to create a confidence that they can change the systems around them. Now, not every idea leads to a change, but I think it leads to a conversation.
Okay.
people start to learn the interplay between the difference. They say, hey, I would like to try this and what affects my day-to-day routine, and I think it would help the system in this way, and it opens up a dialogue.
Right.
And I think if it leads to
so that helps that
change.
push and pull.
Yep.
Okay. So what is it? What about it? How does it enable them to embrace the leaders within themselves?
I think it opens up their mind beyond their existing role. If
Okay.
people lock themselves into their existing roles, they may not think that there's a future in leadership. But like I said, I started part-time in the warehouse, and I think I was exposed, learn all the different systems, and started to see some of the interplay, and started to see how I could exist within the systems and push the
So it
goals
sounds
forward.
like, as you describe this in your journey, it sounds like would it be fair to say that you've kind of experienced this journey yourself?
I think I have, yeah. And it doesn't mean that, to be a leader, you have to have the title of manager. I think that's the important part of empowering your people. Some people are never going to be branch managers, and that is not a problem. They just have
Right.
to feel like they can use ideas to change the system for the betterment of the goals of everyone.
So around this, how does this enable what you've just described here? A lot of people use this term around like leadership at all levels of an organization, and we talk a lot about leadership's less about a title, but it's a mindset. How does this start to enable this whole piece here in your about enabling that leader mindset?
I think just giving people the opportunity to learn and try is the first step to being a leader.
Okay. Very good. Well, Joe, thank you very much for your thoughts. Fascinating the way you're looking at it, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that's another session, and thank you very much. Thank you to our guest and the Sprint Ahead Mobilizing Leadership people who are collectively working to create leadership for all through shared purpose, connected communities, new opportunities to learn, and action-based leadership experiences. We look forward to hearing your insights. Please connect and move forward with us.